Welcome everyone in the municipality of Strathroy-Caradoc on Monday, December the 1st, 2025. The municipality of Strathroy-Caradoc acknowledges it is located on Treaty 21 territory. We are thankful to the generations of people who have taken care of this land, including Chippewa of the Thames First Nation, the Munsee Delaware First Nation, and the Oneida Nation of the Thames. Roll call, all are present. Motion to approve the agenda for tonight's meeting. Councillor Kennis, second by Deputy Mayor McGuire. All in favor? Motion carries. Are there any declarations of pecuniary interest? Seeing none. Motion to move into closed session at 5:01 for the purpose of discussing the following. One item in accordance with Council's procedure bylaw to approve in-camera meeting minutes of November 17th, 2025. One item pursuant to section 239 of the Municipal Act regarding personal matters about identifiable individual, including municipal or local board employees, and one item pursuant to section 239, 2F of the Act regarding advice that is subject to solicitor-client privilege, including communications necessary for that matter, a labor relations update. One item pursuant to section 239 2E of the Act as amended regarding litigation or potential litigation, including matters before administrative tribunals affecting the municipality, and section 239 2F of the Act as amended regarding advice that is subject to solicitor-client privilege, including communications necessary for that purpose, the Adelaide Metcalf Servicing Agreement. One item pursuant to section 239 2C of the Act as amended regarding a proposed or pending acquisition or disposition of land by the municipality, potential lands. One item pursuant to section 239 2B of the Act regarding personal matters about identifiable individual, including municipal or local board employees, employee accommodations. One item pursuant to section 239 2E of the Act as amended regarding litigation or potential litigation, including matters before administrative tribunals affecting the municipality, the wastewater treatment plant. Roll call, all are present. Oh, we gotta make a motion to go into closed. I do apologize. Councillor Palkman, second by Councillor Hippel. All in favor? Motion carries. welcome back, everyone. Closed session, motion to closed session adjourn at 6:18 p.m. Someone bring that motion. Deputy Mayor, second by Councillor Kenneth. All in favor? That motion carries. Council met in closed session to consider matters it is permitted to do so under the Municipal Act. It is listed on tonight's council agenda. The following items were considered during the closed session. One item in accordance with council's procedure bylaw to approve in-camera meeting minutes. The meeting minutes were approved. One item pursuant to section 239 of the Municipal Act regarding personal matters of an identifiable individual, including municipal employees, and section 239(2)(f) of the Act regarding advice that is subject to solicitor-client privilege, including communications necessary for that purpose. Council received a verbal update and direction was given. One item pursuant to section 239(2)(e) of the Act regarding litigation or potential litigation, including matters before administrative tribunals affecting the municipality, the Adelaide Metcalfe Servicing Agreement. Council received legal advice, direction was given. One item pursuant to section 239(2) of the Municipal Act regarding a proposed or pending acquisition or disposition of land by the municipality. Council received a staff report. Direction was given to staff. One item pursuant to section 239(2)(b) of the Act regarding personal matters of an identifiable individual, including municipal employees. Council received a report and no direction was given to staff. One item pursuant to section 239(2)(e) of the Act regarding litigation or potential litigation, including matters before administrative tribunals affecting the municipality, the wastewater treatment. Motion that the direction given in closed session be approved. Deputy Mayor, second by Councillor Pelkman. All in favor? That motion carries.
Mr. Mayor?
Yes.
Sorry, I should have at the beginning before closed made my declaration of pecuniary interest on 12.3.2. And that's because the parties involved are members of the Chamber of Commerce, which I'm involved. I'm
Okay.
an employee.
Okay. Thank you for that. So, first order of business is a service award presentation for Aiden de Lima. Braden is celebrating 5 years of service. He works in our as a public works operator and engineering public works department. So congratulations, thank you to Braden. As I believe Shannon Garb is here tonight regarding the CIP.
Yeah.
Shannon, you wish to make a delegation, do you, or speak?
Yes. Yeah.
The microphone's right there for you.
Already? So, I wanted you to understand what I've dealt with. So, starting November of last year, I moved into Strathroy. I had $15,000 from the sale of my old house, and I have a son that's disabled. Well, he's my nephew. He was born with drugs in his system. And I found out, and I was also going to live with my mom, who was supposed to move in. She never sold her house, so I took on a private mortgage for a year. So during this time, we started setting up like stuff for my mom to get up and down stairs, handlebars. And during this time, I found out about the SIB. I was also hoping to get, there's supposed to be a secondary suite loan coming through. Now, what a great plan, like making a room, like a 2-bedroom or a 2-level house in taking care of my son, my mom, and at this point, another disabled person and 2 other people. What a great idea to make it legal and to try to get some of this money back. However, right at the beginning, we put in our floor. And then in January, I was hoping to get somebody to say yes to the secondary suite loan that was supposed to come through, which never did. And then I started talking to Sasha. Now, Sasha basically said, you started construction, but I still feel that with all of these things that you can start moving forward. And I told her, I really don't know how we're gonna have all the prices, everything done prior to going into all of this and getting this done. Now, during this time, you had 3 staff situations changes. I was working with Karan, I was working with Matt Kumar, I was working with Connor. He said, wait till February 24th because I'm leaving, and they changed over to RSM. I called several times to RSM to try to get some clarification on what we needed. They said I needed a ceiling for firewalls, and then they said I needed a sprinkler. So I did everything that you guys wanted compliant, except for having all your prices down prior to starting all of the information. During this time, I went from where we could have had an easy sell, and I've lost a lot of construction people over this. It could have been $40,000 just getting a basement apartment in, and it's now up to $90,000. I have been crying. I've been working on this for a year. I've lost contractors. And I've been just constantly being told, keep trying, hopefully you'll get it, and hopefully it'll work. And so I kept doing that, 72 emails to Sasha. We've had contractors come in with 2 different quotes. My mother and I have both gone up from Rona to Home Hardware to everywhere to get your 2 quotes to be compliant to everything you guys have wanted. So that's my personal thing on this one. As far as being professional and having it in a clean little slate, in late 2024, we started home renovations, focusing initially on floor and carpet removal. We opened our permit on December, sought contractors to complete the basement for legality and potential grant applications. The process was confusing. Communications with inspectors and RSM buildings were inconsistent and the requirements often changed without clear explanations. Multiple staff changes in the municipal office further delayed our progress. Despite frequent emails and calls for clarifications, responses were either delayed or contradictory. A major issue arose regarding driveway specification, which ultimately led to possibly my application not being legal. So both my mom and I phoned and said, we only have like 3-4 cars. What difference does it make how many cars we have in our driveway for us not to be considered for a secondary suite? I have invested significant time and resources into this project and hurt myself financially with not being able to work or market myself as well. I am now financially strained, having provided housing for 3 tenants and 2 family members with complex needs while trying to meet all of your city requirements. My request is simply to have the decision considered. I believe approval is warranted given the circumstances, especially since it's not practical to obtain final quotes before construction is complete due to the unpredictability of the renovation projects. Now, what comes first, the horse or the cart? So we didn't know what we needed, and truly we were getting like different information from all of your inspectors and all of the people that we were working with. So I'm just asking for reconsideration. I mean, I would have only spent $40,000. I'm up to $90,000. I'm behind in debt. I'm behind in things, and I've got 3 people I'm taking care of that are handicapped. So nonetheless, I've got all documents. I've got 72 emails that I haven't printed out, but I've got receipts, and I've spent a year doing this, and I think that I should have a better consideration than an absolute no. So I really appreciate you considering to change your decision over.
Thank you. Are there any questions? All right, thank you. Oh, sorry, Mike, I didn't see your hand was.
Well, yeah, I should have raised it higher. My apologies. Not so much a question, but in listening to you, and thank you. I know it's always difficult to get up and speak for yourself in front of any audience, rather yet this. It seems like this is a situation perhaps where policy and real life have hit head on. And I know we've received a report about this, or I'm quite sure we did, because it definitely rings a bell in my mind. But I think the SIP program is there for a reason. And I know with what you're speaking to, yes, we had transition in our building department, absolutely. Of course, the provincial policy statement has changed countless times, which is a provincial piece of legislation, but has changed countless times every few months, such as the need for driveway space. So I would like to see this again or a deeper look now that I've heard from, let me get the name right, I'm sorry, Shannon here. Because it feels to me that we have a policy situation running headlong into the best intent of a citizen. I'll leave it there. Thank you, Your Worship.
Thank you. Any other comments or questions? Councillor Brennan.
Was the issue originally when it came before us that the work had proceeded before the application had been made, and that this program is not one of reimbursement, but is one of incentivizing? I think those were the arguments that were made for the denial. We did have, obviously, staff changeover. And it, is it a matter of weeks in terms of some work was done before the application was put in? I know we ruled on the basis of it being not reimbursement, but incentivizing. And I guess my problem here is that it's the purpose of the CIP program, as it's not for reimbursement, it's for incentivizing. And it sounds to me that we're being asked to reimburse.
No,
Sorry. No.
And I guess I would like to be able to maybe review the timeline and the circumstances of this particular case and maybe revisit it. But I just want people out there to understand this is supposed to incentivize action, not reimburse. And there is a difference. Thank you.
Is there any type of motion out there, any action? Deputy Mayor.
I will, and if I may just say, I appreciate everything you said, right up to the point where you feel we're reimbursing, because after listening to the delegation, I feel that really that wasn't the situation, that she was looking for incentivization to do something. Meanwhile, she had to get the process done, and I can appreciate that, having been involved in many of these myself. That being said, I'll make a motion that staff bring back this reconsideration, and since we've already seen that, Your Worship, I believe that would require a 2/3 majority, but the clerk could advise.
Yes. Is there a seconder of a motion? Councillor Derbyshire requires a 2/3 vote. Sorry, it'll require 2/3. Just give me a minute. Okay, all in favor of the motion, I ask you to leave your hands up so I can count. Motion carries. Thank you.
Thank you.
Next is the approval of minutes. Motion to approve the regular council meeting minutes of November 17th, 2025. Someone bring a motion. Councillor Pelkman, second by Councillor Canis. Any questions? All in favor? Carries. There are a number of items in front of you from the consent agenda. Does anyone wish to pull any for further discussion? Councillor Derbyshire.
I'm gonna pull 9 to 1.
Thank you. Are there any others? Councillor Pelkman.
9.3.2.
Any others? Seeing none, motion to receive 9.1.1, 9.1.2, 9.2.2, 9.3.1, 9.3.3, and 9.3.4. Somebody bring that motion. Councillor Canis, second by the Deputy Mayor.
Before we do that, can I just ask a question? Is there anything in here that if we approve them, as we're going to see later in the meeting, we made an approval of the traffic committee, which then approved everything they approved? Are we doing that with anything that we have in here? Where if we approve, I'm just going to pick a meeting, like the police service board's meeting. Are we then approving stuff that they've approved, like
Fair question.
we did with the traffic committee?
I think I read them and I didn't see anything, but I don't know. I didn't see anything, Councillor, because I looked for it myself.
So anything being received in the consent agenda is strictly for information. So any routine meeting minutes, those are just receiving for information. Unless, you know, in the case of, the Cooks Road, that was a motion that was made outside of the receiving the minutes for information.
I did look, Councillor, I looked for that, I didn't see anything that was looking for approval. All in favor of receiving those for information? Okay. Councillor Derbyshire, 9.2.1.
Thank you. I'd just like to, I know this came to Committee of Adjustment. I'm not there to speak on it. I don't want this to be laying blame on anyone, so don't think I'm blaming anyone for what has happened. It's, in my opinion, it's a mistake. It's a simple mistake probably made by numerous people looking at it. I just think when we go through it and it gets presented to us and the conditions are that they have to get a severance, I think when that gets presented to Committee of Adjustment, we feel like these are the conditions that should be met and that it's been looked into and that is what's needed. So when they then go to get the severance and they're like, your place doesn't even need to be severed. They're already separate. Now, I know they're gonna say your lawyer should have looked into it, but as one of the conditions that we're putting forward, why didn't we look into whether that condition even needed to be met? Obviously, that's the only condition that needs to be met when it comes to severing two farms. So, I know our reasoning was their lawyer should have caught it. I believe if we're making a recommendation that these conditions have to be met, that's probably something that we should know when we put those conditions forward, as opposed to it kind of getting found out later. So, I don't know. I'll leave it at that for right now.
Deputy Mayor, then Councillor Pelkman.
So as a member of Committee of Adjustment, yes, we did see this, but in this report, you'll see that this started off at one point in time, December 5th, 2024, a year ago, where the lawyer for the landowner reached out to planning staff. So there was a lawyer involved at the beginning. It was suggested to the lawyer to do a title search because staff don't have access to that document. Do your title search, make sure that you need a severance. We've seen these before where 200-acre parcels were separated, but if they're in the same name, they seem to merge back on titles. So this is a common occurrence. Our staff is well aware of it, as obviously am I now, sitting on Committee of Adjustment for some 7 years. So the lawyer was asked to do something. The lawyer failed to do it. They ran a consent. It was granted only to find out later, in fact, it was two separate properties and the consent was not needed. I think the question needs to be asked of somebody that's not in this room, I suspect, that being the lawyer. They moved forward, they filed a consent application, and we ran it. We don't do title searches.
Councillor Pelkman.
Yeah, I was just gonna add that, that's not our database that we control. The planning department is supposed to be self-funding through the fees that are applied. So the work was done by our planning department, and so fees need to be paid.
Councillor Derbyshire.
So I guess that would be my question is, what exactly are the fees for? If we're making a recommendation that you need a severance, right, are we relying on their lawyers to make sure that what we're doing is correct? Like, this is where I'm at a bit of a loss as to where we just say, well, it's their lawyer's problem. What are we doing for $1,800 then? Like, what exactly is our role in this if it is not to what the recommendations need to be? Like, and I realize maybe we aren't the ones that put them together or took them apart or but how do we not be able to look and say, oh, these places aren't attached, they're not together, they don't need a severance? Like, that I guess to me is where I'm at a loss.
Yeah. Councillor Pelkman.
I believe that since Jake Tweeter's in the room, that he can respond as to the process and the work that's done by staff.
Through the chair.
Manager Ritter, floor is yours.
Through the chair. So on the title and sort of that background search, so we don't have access to that. We're not lawyers. We're not surveyors. We can pull title, but we don't do a deep dive into title. That's not something we do or really have the authority to do. So that's why we didn't do that piece. The application fee covers our time to review everything with them, sit down with the applicant, write the report, circulate to staff and agencies, collect those comments, bring it to the committee, circulate it out to the neighbors, so the mailing, agencies, there's an email. So it's to cover a wide range of things. A title search and survey search is not something that we can do, fortunately.
Any other comments on this one? Okay, motion to receive this report for information. Councillor Canis, second by the Deputy Mayor. All in favor? Motion carries. Councillor Pelkman, you had 9.3.2, I believe.
Yes, thank you. I did want to point out, I guess, not really unhappiness, but I do see that the number of driving under the influence has dropped for the first time in 3 years. But I did want to bring it to the attention because we are at the season of Christmas parties, and having had one extended family member killed by a drunk driver, don't want to see anybody go through that, especially this close to the holiday season. So I just want to put it out there to the public, please do not drink and drive. Make sure you have alternative arrangements and that one member of your party does not drink.
Any other comments on it? If not, motion to receive that. Councillor Pelkman, wish to make motion to receive. Second by Councillor Hippel. All in favor? Motion carries. Next is drainage matters. First is a Lipset drain reassessment. Motion to order the quarter revision. Councillor Canis, second by Councillor Brennan. Are there any appeals? Any questions from council? Councillor Pelkman.
Maybe since we do have the scouts here learning, there could be a brief description of what this is, since there's 3 of them.
Sure. Drainage matters. I don't see Mr. DeVos here, so Director Ortiz, do you wish to speak about drains and explain what this is about for the scouts? And possibly for me too.
Yeah, it'll be a learning moment for all of us. So thank you through the chair. Maybe I'll take this opportunity to provide a brief description of what a municipal drain is and what the function of a drain is, and these reports and how they're presented to council. So at the very beginning, a municipal drain is really helpful for draining water and moving water outside of areas where it collects. So we have a lot of farm fields in the municipality, and the drains really help to keep the farm fields, prevent them from flooding. So areas where you have a lot of flooding, the drains help to drain that drainage and move water to what we call municipal drains, which ends up moving water from the farms to the various streams where they collect, and then downstream to the water body, so lakes and larger water streams. So reports, typically there's work that needs to be done on these drains that have to be maintained, and that maintenance and construction has to be paid for by all the people that benefit from that, all the farms and upstream landowners. So in this case, this was work that was done on the Lipset drain. It was a small amount of work that was charged, and this is the second court of revision, we call it, where we are now providing the costs, the estimate for all of the work to all of the owners who will have to end up paying for it. So in this case, it's a smaller project, around $15,000, and the municipality has to pay for a portion of it as well, in the order of $3,600. So, yeah, I'm here, happy to answer any questions to either council or.
Thank you. Councillor Pelkman.
I just want to thank the director for being put on the spot and providing that description in about 4 minutes. That was well done.
He clearly did. Any other questions from members of council? Seeing none, there are 2 motions. The council adopt the engineer's report for the Lipset drain, and further the bylaw number 105-25 be referred to the consideration of bylaws section of the agenda for 3rd and final reading. Motion by Councillor Brennan, second by Councillor Hippel. All in favor? Motion carries. Next is the Erskine Drain, the Arts Branch. Motion to open the quarter revision. Councillor Palmer, second by Councillor Brennan. All in favor? Motion carries. Any appeals in the audience? Any questions from members of council? There are two motions that council adopt the engineer's report for the Erskine Drain, the Arts Branch. And also that bylaw number 106-25 be referred to the consideration of bylaws section of the agenda for the third and final reading. Motion by Councillor Pelkman, second by the Deputy Mayor. All in favor? That motion carries. Quarter revision regarding the leach drain. Motion to open the quarter revision. Councillor Brennan, second by Councillor Wilsey. Are there any appeals? Any questions from council? The two motions are the council adopt the engineer's report for the leach drain, and further, the bylaw number 107-25 be referred to the consideration of bylaws section of the agenda for the third and final reading. Motion by Councillor Pelkman, second by Councillor Kennis. All in favor? That motion carries. Financial services, there are two motions regarding the proposed schedule of fees. First is that council approve the 2026 proposed schedule of fees. Second, the bylaw number 131-25 be referred to the consideration of bylaws section of the agenda. Someone to bring a motion. Councillor Kennis, second by Deputy Mayor. Are there any questions? Councillor Wilsey.
So I looked at this, and I know we've had a report from staff on the fees, and really when we got the report back on the fees, staff had told us that we're only targeting to get back a percentage of operational costs, not really covering any of the capital costs. The part that bugs me a little bit is that these fees are only going up by somewhere around 2 to 3% on average over everything. And our salaries, we gave our staff close to 25% increase in salary this year. So with cost of salary and wages going up by 25%, for us to only raise our fees by 2%, which is lower than even inflation and everything else that's going up. I feel like what we're doing is just giving ourselves a tax increase to the people who don't use the services and just subsidizing it. I don't believe that's fair. However, this is the fourth year in a row I've said that when this report's come up, and I keep getting told that this isn't the time to review it. There's already been motions made. I don't know if anything's gonna come from it at this time, but I feel passing this is just giving an early tax increase to all the people who are in the municipality.
Any other comments or questions? Deputy Mayor.
Yes, I just want to go back, Councillor Wilsey. You said we gave our staff 25% pay raises, but I'm not sure where you're getting your numbers from. I'll just say I remember we did a full review comparison in our wage grid, and there were staff that moved from wage grid to wage grid, but I don't believe at any point in time did we give like everybody a 25% increase in their wages. So just looking for clarification.
Yeah, so on that, our wage grid, we increased every level of our wage grid by just over 20%. I believe it was like 20.7. And in addition to that, there was a COLA that we gave prior to that, which was almost 4% as well. The two numbers together are close to 25%. If the wage grid goes up by 20%, everyone gets a 20% wage increase. And in addition, our COLA for this past year was right around 4% as well. So the two together, being their cumulative, are around 25%.
Any other comments or questions? Go Councillor Kennis and Councillor Pelkman and Councillor Derbyshire.
Well, I think we have a differing opinion here, and I think we just need clarification from staff. Did everyone get a 25% raise in 2025?
I think the most part, Director Payne.
Thank you, Council. I can confirm that not every single employee got a 25%. Similar to what the Deputy Mayor has indicated, when we did the updated compensation review, a new grid was revised. So if I was at a certain step on the grid, I just went to that same step on the new grid. So there's going to be variances I can't confirm or deny, I can deny not every employee got a 25% increase. I could certainly I don't have all those numbers in front of me, but I can certainly provide a report of what that looked like, but that'd be by employee, right? So,
Councillor Pelkman and Councillor Derbyshire.
Yes, I have two parts. So one, my question is, that was non-union only, correct?
that's correct.
Right, so the services are provided by frontline staff who are all unionized. So that 25% would not come into place for our services. But my second question would be to Director Lilleborn, because I know we did discuss this at CDAC, is an approximate percentage of our recovery fees and how that stacks up against other municipalities.
Through the chair to Councillor Pelkman, back in the data is somewhat dated with regards to the Parks and Recreation Master Plan that was conducted in 2021, late 2021, I think it was December. It showed that the municipality, Strathroy-Caradoc, for Parks and Recreation and Culture fees, recovers 42% of its expenses through revenues compared to other comparators of 22%. No, that was back in 2022. The municipality, the department has been tracking its overall recovery rates for the last number of years. The entire department in 2024 had an actual cost recovery of 52%. I can't tell you what to compare to what other municipalities are. In 2023, our actual cost recovery rate was 51%. And we budgeted for a cost recovery rate of 49% in 2025. I have it broken down by division, should council wish further information with regards to that tonight.
Councillor Pelkman.
Yeah, so I think that, you know, with recreation, there's a strategy that is to keep recreation affordable to families while obtaining a decent level of cost recovery. It's not solely about cost recovery. And while you're doing that, you also have to watch your neighbors to make sure that you're not pushing business out to the neighboring municipalities. So for instance, if we made our rink rates too high, you might find that Glencoe gets a lot of extra business and we lose on the selling of ice time. So I'm happy with the strategy that's been put forward and the fees that are there. I think our recreation department's doing a good job of cost recovery on behalf of those residents like myself who don't partake of any of our facilities.
Just I'll get you a minute, Greg. Councillor Derbyshire, your hand was up. Did you wish to go?
You can go first. I'm gonna go, I got something else.
Okay.
You can go,
Okay,
Greg.
Councillor Wilsey. Then I'm gonna chime in.
I was just gonna point on the cost recovery that's on operations only. So when we talk about all the heating upgrades and all the lighting upgrades and the building facades and the millions of dollars we spend on our facilities, that is not included in this. If you look at the rec budget, if I remember right, it's somewhere between $2 to $3 million. That's just top of the head. It might be off a little bit. But if we're covering 51% of $2 to $3 million, but we're spending $4 to $5 million, that drops our recovery rate substantially when we're spending 2 to 3 times the rec budget to maintain our facilities. So just eyes open.
Yeah. I just, if you don't mind, you can yield to me. I'm gonna chime in, 'cause I did talk to Councillor Wilsey. I looked at the fees too, and there's some numbers. You know, when you go up 2%, you see a 3-cent increase. I mean, I would have liked to seen that bump up, but I talked to Director Lilleborn. What's bothered me too is the capital recovery. I understand the user fees, but I had discussions with the director about possibly a capital surcharge because we do have, you'll see the budget, there are a lot of capital items we need to be taken care of in our arenas, our parks, and the pool. I think one of the items that's there in capital, and the director will correct me if I'm wrong, is $127,000 to paint the pool. Council, I can't, right? So at some point in time, I don't know if it's here, we do need to talk about a capital surcharge. Whether it's 10% and the money's allocated, people clearly know where it's going, but that's my thought. I agreed with Councillor Wilsey somewhat, but I did talk to the director today, and I think we do in the future need to talk about capital recovery, and possibly the time to do that is when the 2026 budget proposal comes out from the mayor. Councillor Derbyshire.
Thank you. When I was looking at the development charges, I'm pretty sure we already had an explanation for this as to why Mount Bridges is higher than Strathroy. It just kind of, when we get looking at, we're all one area, all one place. I realize that there's probably some things, obviously, when we look at water and wastewater, but when you get looking at water and wastewater, we essentially need the same. I mean, this is requiring a big upgrade. So is Mount Bridges, but yet there's, we've got almost at this point 4,000, 5,000 difference. Just on the single detached. I mean, it's kind of relevant all the way through. With that, I would just ask why there's a discrepancy like that, and then I do have a follow-up on the apartments, but if you want to answer the first one first, I'll
turn it over to Director Dakin. Could you answer Councillor Derbyshire's question?
Through the chair to Councillor Derbyshire, so development charges are separate, other than the rate increase based on inflation, well, not inflation, the consumer construction price index. So those get done annually by council. So every year we bring forward whether they want to increase them by the construction price index. But the development charges themselves are through a separate bylaw, which is all the projects. And as you rightly pointed out, a lot of it has to do with the wastewater in Mount Bridges. Differentiates those at that point. It's based on projects. So I guess I can give some background that early on in the, I'll say early 2000s, a lot of it was just based on cost recovery, but we've now moved these DCs into what they really are, which are future projects. So again, with the multi-year budget on the horizon, I think that would aid this in sort of leveling some of this out, so we can see some of these projects built into that DC bylaw, which would then deal with some of these numbers.
Another question, Councillor?
I did. I was going to say on the apartments, where obviously it's cheaper to go up than it is to go out. We're trying to preserve farmland and this and that. How are we with that number compared to competitive or the same comparative municipalities that have the same sort of services, I guess, that we have and we can supply, not based on our proximity to another large center, but more based on, do we have a transit service? Do we have a cab service? Do we have when we get to that number of what will now be 17,000 per unit, are we comparable to other markets, like size markets and service markets? Or are we basing that number more off of our proximity to the larger urban center of London?
So through the chair to Councillor Derbyshire. So again, these numbers are derived based on projects that we have. Excuse me, so that, for instance, the City of London obviously their number would be lower because of the amount of projects and the growth. That's how these numbers are sort of calculated. So I think what you'll find is, and will come out at budget time, is our BMA study that is actually posted on our website right now. You can go on and see how we compare it to other municipalities, even local, but not only local, but also within the province. So I think comparatively, I would say that we're in the same ballpark when you look at the size of our municipality compared to the others.
Sorry, Councillor Brannan.
Just a comment, but prior to this council, the last council, we had a development charges background study done by Hemson Consulting that came out December 2019. 136 pages. It was an extensive process, so if anybody is wondering about the rationales behind development charges in Strathroy-Caradoc, I would refer them to that report. It was a very, very extensive process. And these DC charges are not come up with randomly. It's a very carefully studied strategy. So December, and it's a quick study. I just put in Hemson report, Strathroy, development charges, and it pops straight right up. But 136 pages of interesting reading about development charges. So that's the reason why there's a different DC to rate in different parts of our municipality.
Okay, Councillor Wilsey, then we'll bring it to a vote. Then we're going to take a recess for 15.
Just to stay on development charges, I'm just wondering if staff recalls, because I wasn't around in 2019. I'm looking at the difference in residential fees between Strathroy and Mount Bridges, and it's around 10 to 12%. But when I look at commercial, it's 75% more expensive per square meter to build a building in Mount Bridges, and industrial is 50% more. Just wondering if there's some rationale behind staff about why it's 75 more expensive just in development charges to build something commercial in Mount Bridges and 50% more in industrial. Like, it doesn't, if it was just the water and wastewater, you'd think it would be linear and it would cost the same amount to build, the same amount more to build a house. But I'm just wondering why it goes from like 12 to 15% to 50 to 75% on those other two classes.
Once again, Director Dakin.
So obviously I don't have that information off the top of my head, so if council would wish, I can bring forward a report what that looks like for the difference in those rates.
Okay, thank you. So there you have two second motions in front of you. All in favor of those motions? Motion carried. Perfect timing. Deputy Mayor.
So there was a statement made that I was concerned about with the 25%.
Yep.
You want to do, I have a motion I want to put in place. Can I do that now prior
The
to?
floor is yours.
Thank you. I want to put a motion forward that Director of Human Resources bring forth a high-level overview report regarding the actions that council took with the study and who the study from the staff applies to. Basically the inside staff, I believe. So then a percentage, how many of those employees, how many total employees would be inside compared to everybody else, so that we have a true comparison, because all of our contractual outside staff, unionized staff, were not affected by this, I believe.
You have a seconder?
Then I would like, there's a little bit more to it. So then with where the study applies to, of that total number, how many of those individuals were bumped, certainly some were, like into another bracket, and what was kind of the overall money in terms of percentage increase? Did people see? So I just want to, I want to see a quantitative what in fact was the effect of what we did. And then how does that apply to the total overall budget of wages and benefits for the municipality?
I see a couple of hands, so were you looking to second or ask for clarity? Question? Yep.
Just a clarity to the director. When you were proposing those increases, did you not present a chart as to what the overall costs would be to the municipality if we went by, so I feel like we've already got that information. So I'm not sure what your question is.
Well, because there was a very bold statement made at council which concerned me, and so I don't want to bring back an old report. I'm just asking the director to, it may very well be that report, Director, which would be wonderful, but I just wanted to, I'm only looking for a very high level report to say whether or not everybody got a 25% tax increase, or was it something different?
Follow up.
I would not be supporting that, because I think that if the councillor wants to see the report that was already presented, then he can go back in the minutes or ask the director for that report. I don't think we have to put more work on the department to do that was already presented.
Councillor Peltman.
That was gonna be my comment too. We don't need to backtrack and revisit our own decisions.
Okay. There's no seconder. Your motion failed, Deputy Mayor. Motion to adjourn until 7:18 p.m. Recess, adjourn.
Really?
I need a seconder. Councilor Pelkman, all in favor? We are recessed until 7:18 p.m. You guys should go. What was the, Okay, everyone, welcome back. Motion to move back into session. Councillor Kennis, second by Councillor Brennan. All in favor, motion carries. Just gonna change things a little bit because Mr. Holt has been patiently waiting. I'm gonna move 12.3 community services up next, the Tri-Township Edition design options. So we'll move that up. So Mr. Holt. So I think we have all seen the design. Are there any relevant questions to Mr. Holt? We'll entertain questions. I wonder, Mike, if you can give the genesis of how we work with the Tri-Township Arena Board and where we're at today.
Okay, thank you all for having me. It's great to see you all, as always. So now, is there something on the screen? Oh, I can see it there. Perfect. Okay, so starting in about, I would say, the spring of this year, we were engaged, our firm, to look at some accessibility upgrades. Thanks, Rob. To the arena. Some critical items that should be addressed to meet AODA accessibility standards. So that was all provided through the Tri-Township Board, who we've been working with directly on this project. And so a few of the council members, as well as the mayor, is actually on that board. So through that, we came to a decision of doing a addition and reno. One of the main items is accessibility to the mezzanine, which is, some would probably call it the second floor, but it's technically a mezzanine of the arena for viewing. And also having an accessible washroom and concessions as well. If anyone's been in the arena, which I'm sure you all have, it's of its time, I would say politely. It's very tight, the amount of space, very challenging for accessibility, especially on the ground floor where you come in. There's only a couple windows to look out, and it is below the viewing area of the rink. Obviously, the mezzanine currently, there's no way physically to get up there for accessible needs. So anyways, with the design, we looked at a very, very, very high level idea of what could be done with the space. So what that means is an addition, at least in the three options that you see before you, plus or minus 1,500 square foot addition. So within the addition, on the outside of the building, you would have space to put in a shaft for a limited use, limited access, so a Lula lift, a staircase, as well as it enlarges the lobby space, which allows more crush space for parents and kids and what have you, hockey bags. So a little bit more space added to the outside, but obviously not going grandiose with a very, very large scale addition in order to keep it more realistic, I guess, and keep the cost down. Included in that as well, you'd have to renovate a little bit of the space, obviously, because we would need to cut a couple holes into the side of the building. So there, that's perfect right there on the screen. So it's a typical arena design with a side entry condition. So I guess it depends on what you call the front. I would call probably the streets the front. So you're kind of entering the side by the change rooms, and it makes it very challenging with the way the floor plate is designed currently. But in order to keep costs down, again, we looked at a very, very small addition to the corner. So really what you see before you is three massing options, which all are relatively the same square footage. And again, part of our agreement, our firm's agreement, is we have a cost consultant who can provide a high level cost to this, so a Class C cost estimate. So we provided these, the floor plan designs in October, and then through that we provided these three options in November with hope to get a direction to then proceed to cost estimate. So high level cost estimate, I threw some very, very quick numbers at it, 1.5 million to 2 billion, plus or minus. So very, very high level. Obviously with the cost consultant, and that's their position, they would provide a more detailed breakdown in a Class C, like we have with all the other projects. So thank you. I'll open it up to questions.
Any questions? Deputy Mayor.
So first off, A, B, or C all satisfy AODA.
Yeah, so the floor plans are all identical. It's really just a form, because I know one of the questions we had, Deputy Mayor, when I was actually met with you guys in person, was, okay, what does this look like? Like, we had floor plans at the time.
Yeah, no,
And the idea was to give 3 different flavors of what you could do, and I guess I should have explained that. So option A is, we'll call it a box mass. It's a 2-story option. The staircase and the elevator are always within the addition, because it's very challenging. It can be done, but it's very challenging and costly to put a lift inside an existing shell of arena. You can do it, but it adds its own complexity. Option 2 is, I believe it's a shed roof style, so it kind of opens it up to the street and then lowers down to be a little bit lower comparative to the change rooms, which was the addition that was done, I think, in 2010, I believe. So we're being more sympathetic to that massing. And then the option 3 is kind of a high-low option. Again, so part of it would be a 2-story, if you will, and the other would be more of a single story. So I think if we're looking at high-level numbers, what's the most affordable? I would say probably the 2-story one is just in its simplicity of its design and roof lines. So I would say that's probably the more cost-effective, but each have their own merits as well. So that's why I kind of provided all 3 for discussions.
Follow-up, Deputy Mayor.
Yeah, thank you. So the rest of it has to do more of a comment than questions. Thank you, Michael. But so this all started at Tri-Township Arena Board after it got sent from council over to TTA to meet with A-Link and get some preliminary ideas to satisfy AODA, which is needed. It's also the law, but it's the best thing for our community. When we started off this process, I made this comment, which is that this building will outlast hopefully an arena. That in the future, hopefully there's plans that we actually can do a new arena at probably a better site. But this building will serve the community for, again, 50 years or 60 years into the future. This is not wasted money. I don't know what the younger kids of today will use it for. It could be cricket, it could be indoor tennis courts or racquetball or whatever. They'll have a use for it. But this will serve the community well for years to come. Interior, we did look at interior designs, what this looks like. Real quick, right, this would entail probably removing the kitchen area from where it is, because it occupies half of the main floor area. In the middle there is made up of that cafeteria, so that would open that up. There's some steel beams there, so I envision, like a table built around those steel beams where you get groups of people hanging out and they're having a coffee and the kids are up at the glass watching the game, and it would be a very nice area. You'd have the mezzanine upstairs, you'd have a blue room, what that could be rented out for birthdays or parties of whatever type. That could also become the mother's kitchen, and I just use that term, I guess the kitchen doesn't have to be mother's kitchen. That's dating myself some 40 years ago, 50 years ago when I was in the arena more often, but there's lots of new uses upstairs, heated areas to sit, and then still maintain the area outside in the colder area if you want to yell and scream more at the referees. So it's really presenting some great options, and I'm eager to see what a Class A, the initial, which is what a Class C costing, thank you, I believe Class C. So let's get that initial. Are we talking a $2 million upgrade or something more or less than that? I have no idea. So I would be making the motion, Your Worship, to get it off the ground, that Council direct staff to work with A-Link to obtain a Class C costing for option A, based on these drawings.
You're a seconder for your motion. Is that Councilor Brennan's second? Any further comments? Councilor Derbyshire.
Thank you. So I'm not opposed to doing that. I asked a few places here how I go about this. I'm not opposed to what we're doing here. When I look at this arena, and I've gone to many arenas now, and I look at the challenge of trying to have a heated area, I did ask the question, is it mandatory that people go to the second floor for OAD compliance? And I believe the answer was no.
So all public spaces, especially when it comes to arenas, should be AODA compliant. You can't separate off spaces from other people.
Okay, so it does say should be, but regardless of that, one way or another. I went today and I measured off the far end of the arena, and we can go basically a 60-foot addition towards the ballpark. So it would be 60 feet that way, or 40 feet still leaves us the pavilion, and it actually works because every one of the beams that you extend out is 20 feet. So you could add 2 more beams to the end of the building, which would give you a 40-foot lobby, which would butt up to the far end, which would give you then, if you put a wall there, insulated wall, you now have a heating area with the stairs that go up still being within the heated area. So the wall would be up there. If you so choose to put a lift or a small thing, it could go right in there, lift up, and they could get out. That would then bring you down to the extension there for the dressing rooms, which is 30 feet wide, which would work well for a double door entrance. And I kind of put a few things together and did just some small stuff on my own for somewhat of costing, and phoned around and made a few connections. And I asked for office space, a rubber floor, a heated in area, and 2 OAD compliant washrooms in this area. And they quoted somewhere around $400 a square foot. If we go 60 by 120, I think that was like 9,200 square feet. So we're somewhere around that $3 to $4 million for something that gives us it gives us more square footage. It heats the end of the viewing area where most people want to see, not the side, which that if you want to put the lift and take them up, I mean, that's something that I guess we could look into and figure out, where you wanted your heating area. But it eliminates us really doing a whole lot of inside work in this arena here. We just kind of add to the end of it and put your entrances there. I was going to ask for that to be designed by A-Link as part of this motion, but the motion was put forward, so I would ask for a friendly amendment if the deputy mayor obliged to it. If it's something that I think we're going to be here longer than 5 to 10 years. I think this building is going to be here possibly 10 to 15 years, and with what I am kind of proposing is somewhat what Ilderton is kind of doing with their arena, which would make us possibly grants available for these renovations. It gives more square footage, adds a whole heated area. You can actually put a second floor in there too if you were so inclined, because we'd be going full length. I just think you might get a little more bang for your buck with what we're doing, as opposed to, not that this isn't a great design, I just, I think maybe for a little more money, we might be able to get a little more out of this. But it's up to you if you would like to. If not, it'll just die.
Deputy Mayor. Yep, sorry. Mike, you have a comment, I believe?
Yeah, so I guess to Councilor Derbyshire, so great ideas. We should have had these ideas at the last board meeting. It would have been amazing.
Thank you. So fantastic ideas. We didn't look at the end of the building. I guess I consider it the end. I don't know if you could consider it the end. Yeah. So again, I think it's at this point, what we're trying to do really is get a high-level estimate to figure if there's an appetite to push forward. So, and really all in the end is defining the scope. So whether it's an addition in this, we'll call it the middle, or an addition on the end, or how much renovation, all we're really doing in the end is defining the scope, getting some ideas down on paper, and getting a cost, and then team here can make a value decision of where to go forward before we invest too much money doing drawings. So again, I think it's potentially a great idea. I would have to look at how the mezzanine would exit, because I know it exits out that one side.
They both go down either side.
Right.
Yeah.
So, but I would say further to study, you could, as an idea, if you wanted to look at 2 high-level options and get them both costed, if you
if there's an appetite to do that, that definitely could happen as well. Like the arrangement we have is very much customized to what the municipality would like to see in the end. So I'll kind of leave that there for now.
I appreciate everything you said, and it's not the first time I've heard this from Councillor Derbyshire. We've talked about it. It's a great idea. I see then two separate motions, and whether they run simultaneously or you run one first and then the other. I still like to see what is this potential costing us. So do we have an appetite for it? If this comes in at $1 million, then it's like, okay, do we want, before you pull the trigger on this one, would you be willing to do $2 million for a more grandiose design on the end? Certainly, I can't imagine it being less expensive going on the end because it's a much bigger building. I really kind of want to see where do we sit with this, and do we have the appetite to take this small bite of the apple? And if we do, so I'd like to see it. I'd like to see this motion stay. But I'd also like to see, before we did anything, what Councillor Derbyshire is talking about.
Councillor Peltman.
Yes, thank you. Out of the three that are suggested, I definitely like proposal A the best. I feel like B would limit the amount of sunlight coming into the lobby. You would get so much more in option A. And in terms of looks, I think just A is it looks, to me, it looks more professional. It looks nicer. In terms of Councillor Derbyshire's option, my only hesitation toward it is that when we did Gemini, I remember the largest expense was the steel beams that bridge all the way across the arena, and every time we pushed out so many feet, it was another $1 million. Now, obviously, that's a much bigger span than this, but I'm gonna guess that's still gonna be somewhat true, that because of the spans of the width of the entire arena is gonna be a much more costly idea than what's proposed here.
So it depends. I mean, the construction methodology for the arena being an open, we'll call it an A-frame building, even though it's not, but you get the idea. It's a pre-eng building is what it is. That's the form of the building. The addition to Councillor Derbyshire's, I would love to see the sketches, by the way. It doesn't have to be the same form, if that makes sense. We're not extruding the building out using the same methodology that they did for the arena. Technically, it could be more of a steel beam, post and beam construction if we're looking at multi-level. So it's not really going to be the same construction methodology as that is. So the span is not much of a concern. Really, it's defining the scope, defining the area, how big. That all affects the budget in the end. And then what we didn't really speak to is the other capital improvements that are coming down the pipe for this arena, which Deputy Mayor, you know of, like the slab, for instance. So where do those fall into the high-level budget of this arena, Reno edition, if you will? So you got to think about it holistically as well.
Okay. I'm going to go and just remind council we have a second motion. Let's keep our discussion to the motion from the Deputy Mayor. So, Councillor Hippel.
Sorry, thank you. I am going to comment on this just a little bit because we've been talking about Tri-Township Arena for a really long time. And obviously the AODA is, I mean, we have to do that, okay? We have to do that. That's important. We've got the sketches. I mean, I also had a lot of thought process about what Councillor Derbyshire was talking about. My biggest concern with everything that we're doing is the service groups. So, or sorry, the user groups. And realistically, everything that we want to do, we need to make sure that everything we're not affecting them in a large amount of time. I mean, we have several user groups that use Tri-Township. So anything that we decide to do anywhere we decide to go, obviously cost effective and how it works together, we need to make sure that we do not lose these user groups. So we really need to be mindful of how we move forward this way. I'm not saying anything is wrong with any of it. I want everyone to realize that that is a really big issue, because if we end up in a situation where it takes us an extraordinarily long time to get this done, we are and could be in very deep trouble for that arena.
So I do, Kester, say I want to vote on the deputy mayor's motion. Do you have anything to add?
I was just gonna ask
Yeah, go ahead.
if, so he's no to the amendment?
I'd like to see it as a second motion.
Well, I was asked.
So we have a second motion that from the deputy mayor, the council directs staff with A-Link, obtain a Class C costing for option A. All in favor of that motion? Okay, was there anything else said? Councilor Derbyshire, you can jump in now if you wish. Just wanted to get that motion out of the way.
So I did ask if I should put it as a motion, and it was said, no, try to put it on this one here.
Yeah.
To continue on, because we're already got A-Link involved. So, you want me to make a separate motion for A-Link to do this in conjunction with this? Like, I just don't understand. Is that the motion that you want to see made? That I asked them to look into that?
Yeah, go ahead, deputy mayor.
Yeah, so A-Link is now moving ahead with a Class C costing on option A, which is wonderful. We're gonna get a number in front of us. Right, so with yours, do we want to engage A-Link to start some drawings on pushing out the end of the building? So this is something we did 4 months ago at Tri-Township, back in the summertime when we started the conversation. So do you want to start another conversation now? Or do you want to wait for the Class C to come in and say, oh, can't afford this at all, we got to rethink everything, or it's a number we're happy with, we might actually want to take a bigger bite of the pie here, which I think is what Councillor Derbyshire is. I think that would be the bigger bite of the pie, I guess, if I can put it that way. It's a bigger structure. When do you want to start that process would be my comment.
Councillor Palmer.
Since I'm not on the Tri-Township Arena Board, I'm trying to understand how we got here. Were other options not discussed, and then the board decided this was the direction they want to go in? And if they did, then why are we now going backwards again?
Yeah. So
my assumption was that as a committee or as a board, you had conversations with A-Link and you looked at a bunch of options, and this is what you're bringing forth to council.
That is correct.
Okay, thank you for clarifying.
Councillor Brennan.
I'd like to ask a question through the mayor to a representative from A-Link. If we were to ask you to render some drawings along the lines of Councillor Derbyshire's suggestion, not to commit you to a price, approximately how much money would it cost to ask you to do something like that? Not binding you to it right now, but just to get an idea of it.
So it would probably be about, I would say, 3 weeks to 2.5 weeks of additional work, which I could easily provide a ballpark number to Rob, so then you'd have that number before you guys make a decision. There's questions of scope for this other addition. Is it the same, or are we adding other? It seems like we're adding other amenities to that, right? So my brain is kind of going off on that.
Yeah, this is a follow-up then. Are we talking $100,000, $50,000, $10,000? Like, if we were to proceed with, or maybe you could give us information on that. Maybe we can see what happens with the motion that was just passed. But we could maybe ask you. Maybe a motion might be to ask A-Link to come back with an estimate of what it would cost to have drawings rendered along the lines of Councillor Derbyshire's suggestion. And once we get that number back, we might be able to make a decision of whether we want to have that rendering done. That would be a motion that I would make now, that we just ask them to come back with an estimate of what that would be, and maybe Councillor Derbyshire can work with them and give them some drawings, and then it could come back to us, and then we'd have an idea what it would cost to have that done, and maybe we can make it more.
You have a second or two?
Don't worry about it, honest to God.
No, I mean, if it's a good idea, if it's a good idea, let's find out what it could cost.
I will second, I'm allowed to second
Yeah,
that. I
okay,
will
so I'll make
second
that motion,
I
yeah.
will second that motion.
We're just asking for an estimate along,
Yep.
yep.
All in favor of that motion? Well, so who's waving their hand?
Wait a minute, what motion?
Go ahead,
I just want to know what I'm doing.
We're just merely asking for an estimate of what it would cost to have drawings rendered along the lines of what Councillor Derbyshire suggested, and without having the work done. And that estimate could come back to us, we could decide if we want to have that work done. That's all.
Yeah, we have a say.
I have a question. So my question for that is, I mean, so Mike's gonna come back with a Class C, and he's also gonna come back with what it's gonna cost if he were to do, okay.
Just to give full consideration.
Seems fair to me. Okay, need to move on from this topic. Councillor Pelton.
Yeah, I was just gonna say, we would almost have to go that route because, you know, the flow of how everything fits together is super important. And so you would have to actually look at floor plans and see how everything fits together.
It is a cement pad.
Okay, no, wait, Councillor.
Oh my God,
Okay.
this is
We have a
so
second
hard,
motion.
so frustrating.
All in favor of the motion to ask for a cost estimate to do rough drawings? All in favor of that motion? Opposed, if any? Motion carries. Thank you, Mike. Next is the soft drink vending service agreement. There are two motions in front of you. Council approve the service agreement, soft drink vending with Rico Foods, and further the bylaw number 134-25. Be referred to the consideration of bylaws section of the agenda. Someone to bring those motions. Councillor Canis, second by the Deputy Mayor. Were there any questions regarding the agreement? Seeing none, all in favor of the agreements? Opposed, if any? Motion carries. We'll now go back to building and planning. Is the application for zoning bylaw amendment regarding 25 Head Street. The two motions are the application ZBA 15-2025 for 25 Head Street North be approved, and further the bylaw number 132-25 be referred to the consideration of bylaws section of the agenda for consideration. Someone to bring those motions. Councillor Brennan, second by Councillor Kennis. Mr. Williams, did you wish to speak to it briefly, or were there any questions for Mr. Williams? Okay, seeing none, all in favor of the motion? Motion carries. The Housing Accelerator Official Plan Amendment, Municipal Wide BBP-2025-114. Motions are that Official Plan Amendment Application OPA 2-2025 be approved, and further, the bylaw number 133-25 be referred to the consideration of bylaws section of the agenda for consideration and approval. Motion by Councillor Canis, second by Deputy Mayor. Any questions? Councillor Wilsey.
Not so much a question on it, but just to, these documents were changed since they were initially posted. So just if we could have the manager speak to the changes, just so that we know what was changed from when it was initially posted to the meeting.
Yep, fair enough. Mr. Williams.
And thank you to the mayor, through the mayor to the councillor. There were two items, one on page 7 of the report referenced a companion report being prepared in support of the zoning bylaw amendment, and the thought originally was that companion report would be on tonight's agenda. That wasn't the case. Needed additional work before it could come before council. So that line was removed from the report and was fixed on the agenda as well. The second was on page 3 of the bylaw. In the preamble section, there was a point 2.0, it's called location, and it referenced North Middlesex, and it should have referenced obviously Strathroy-Caradoc. And this is as a result of us trying to make sure that each one of these official plans that move forward in the county are similar. And it was a mistake made by myself, and we have also adjusted that. So when it comes forward to the time in which the bylaw would be passed, the one that you would be looking at and reviewing is one that says Strathroy-Caradoc throughout the document.
Any further questions or comments? Councilor Derbyshire.
Thank you. Through you to whoever. As part of this process here with the Housing Accelerator Fund, we receive $900 and some odd thousand annually, right? Which I know we already signed up for the program and this, that. I asked before, how close are we to meeting our annual targets? Because I think it says we have annual and then we have targets for the end, right? Because there is a clawback in this, just like we are putting a clawback in our new CIP program or whatever we're doing if people don't meet it. Where are we at for meeting, I guess, what we're supposed to meet to have qualified for the first go round of money?
We can work together.
Through the chair, so the housing targets in the agreement are not hard set. We talked about this in the last report that was brought to council, but those are targets. So our job as a municipality is just to implement the tools to hit those targets. But if we don't meet them, our understanding is that we don't have to give that back. That the primary objective for the municipality is implementing the 7 initiatives, the tools, make the tools available to try to achieve those targets.
Councilor Woolsey.
I had one, and it's probably going to link back to the zoning that's not here. But on the previous reports, when we talked about the OPA and how we were going to control how many units and the density on the different houses and how many different places are going to be built, one of the tools that we were going to use for that was parking control. But as part of the Housing Accelerator, we have to eliminate or reduce requirements for parking, which I think would remove that as an item to control that zoning. So being we're only looking at half of this, and we're not actually looking at the zoning and seeing what parking is being reduced and what the limits are, is it still accurate that we're going to be using parking as one of the tools to limit the additional units and just the traffic and parking on the side streets, or are we going to have to eliminate that and then what we were told is our control is effectively gone?
Mr. Williams.
I'm happy to answer that question. So the initiative is for Strathroy-Caradoc to look at their parking rates, examine locations where it makes sense for parking to be reduced. And that might come in the form of a reduction of single detached dwelling parking down to 2 from 3. That might be the direction that is recommended by the consultant, and then there would be an opportunity for council to provide a response to that, whether or not that was a supportable thing. It might also look like parking rates being reduced only in the downtown core of Strathroy-Caradoc or Strathroy and Mount Bridges, pardon me. It could look a couple of different ways, and so the responsibility of council is to examine and study the parking and look at it, and staff have been doing that already, and then deciding how best to move forward. It might be a situation where single detached dwellings semi-detached dwellings and townhouses. Those are where ARUs will be permitted in the future. Maybe the parking rate doesn't change for those types of units, and we only look at parking reductions for apartment buildings, or maybe it's apartment buildings only in the downtown area. This is the sort of situation that are we giving all control? It's not an all or nothing. There's a spectrum there, and we need to look at that spectrum and do the public meeting part first and hear the comments from everyone around the horseshoe. We certainly have some thoughts on it from a planning perspective, but we need to see the whole picture. So that's what I'll start with, and if there are further follow-ups.
Any other questions? Councilor Derbyshire.
Okay, so I just read here, I was asking, do we have the measurable target housing that, like, have we come up with our measurable targeting housing? And the other thing is, in listening to what that last explanation was, it sounds to me like we're just creating a whole lot of gray area where we're gonna make decisions basically on as per application, as opposed to a policy that says, this is what we have, this is what we don't have. Now, I could be wrong, maybe I heard that wrong, but I guess my first question would be, have we set our targets? Because it says it requires the municipality sets its measurable housing targets and identifies regulatory barriers that it can get through. And obviously, we're dealing right now with the policies and barriers. But have we set our targets? And then, let's leave it there for a minute.
Go ahead, Manager Williams.
Yeah, so 575 housing units in the 4-year period. That is the target. Does it have to be done, divide that by 4? No. Does it have to be some combination? No. We obviously feel that this first area of 6 months, we're not going to have as much uptake because we're still in the process of creating those standards. So that's the first part of it. And does it sound like I talked about a spectrum and a whole bunch of different things? Yes, because the situation is this. I could tell you, we're gonna come strong at you and tell you exactly what I think should happen here and then not give you any other options. That's not the way to handle this. This is a parking rate where everybody here understands what parking issues are happening throughout the community, and so we want to hear that before coming forward with a specific rate. And once we have had that public meeting, then we'll be coming back with the zoning bylaw amendment that will have all of the details. Yes, at the public meeting, we'll have a version of the bylaw with recommendations that gives you an opportunity to read through what we're thinking could occur, and then you can tell us, no, we're way off base and we need to look at it in a different way, and we're certainly open to doing that. But we need to put something down on paper so that you have something that you can look at and provide comments on. If we just come forward and say we're gonna do ARUs and there's gonna be a parking situation and that's gonna be terrible, like, I'm just saying I don't have that answer for you today, and that's partly why the report isn't before you today as well. We're trying to move in baby steps. The first step is to get this official plan amendment forward, have the discussion about 4 units in general at a super high level, and then we'll get into those details and really nail them down. And each meeting will get a little bit closer, and we think we're heading in the right direction with that.
Councillor Peltman.
Yes, thank you. A question kind of in the same vein as Councillor Derbyshire. So, we've had a lot of stuff approved and building stopped when the interest rates went up, but they're starting to see action. So, for instance, the subdivision out on Albert Street. Originally, you saw advertisements for single-family homes, but now they're advertising townhouses. I saw the other day that the subdivision that's been approved close to Walmart was cutting trees down on the property line, so I'm assuming that there's going to be progress there at some point. The stacked townhouses off of Darcy Street are continuing to be built. So will those be included in our numbers, or because they're pre-approved, they're not included? Because clearly if like the stacked townhouses in particular, I believe there was 70 of them, 70 units between the four buildings, which helps substantially achieve our number of 575. So just curious if those numbers will be included.
Yeah, Mr. Williams.
It's everything from the date on which we had the start date. I'm just not sure exactly which date that start date was. After that point, all of the units are counted, which it's already started.
Yeah. Last one, Councillor Wilsey, then we'll bring this to a vote because there's another one on the spot.
Yeah. So this is more of a technical one. With our last official plan still under appeal, and I believe that one is 2021, I can't remember the exact year, but it was a while back, but that one's still being under appeal and not being set. What does putting a new official plan in that modifies our old one that's still under appeal? Like, I guess I don't understand the mechanics or how we can actually put a new official plan in or change an official plan that is still under appeal and hasn't been approved yet.
Mr. Williams.
So, yep, that's tricky. But the answer is twofold. One, staff have been working with legal representation for Strathroy-Caradoc in the county and have addressed most of the issues with the single appellant. And on December 4th, which is this Thursday, there is a motion being heard by the Ontario Land Tribunal. And that motion is to bring forward most of the official plan into force and effect, and it's on consent with the appellant. This would mean that the OLT still needs to confirm that it is good planning to bring it forward, but it is on consent with that applicant. So all parties are consenting to this piece moving forward. So we will have that answer of what are we amending. The answer is that piece will be in force and effect, and it will be as of the date of the passing by council. And so that's back in 2023. So we would be amending that official plan.
Okay, let's bring this to a vote. Thanks. Got another one, the 8 on the half. So we have 2-second motions in front of you. All in favor of those motions? Opposed, if any? Motion carries. Next is the Housing Accelerator Fund, the updated development charge. 2 motions. The council approved the development charge grant policy and the bylaw number 112-25 development charge grant policy be referred to the consideration of bylaws section of the agenda for approval. Deputy Mayor, second by Councillor Kennis. Councillor Pelton.
Yes, thank you. This is just for my own clarification because I had some pretty grave concerns about how this would affect our finances. But I think at the last meeting, if I understood correctly, and I'm going to use ballpark figures, if we budget $100,000 a year for the grant, once we hit that ceiling of $100,000, doesn't matter how many applications we get after that, they'll just be turned away and denied.
Just 150, but I'll turn over to Mr. DeRitter for clarification.
Yep, through the chair, you are absolutely correct, yep.
Councillor Derbyshire.
Just gonna ask a question here. We want 575 units, right? At 150, and I realize the units are broken down differently depending on where we're at. Let's just say that we get nice even numbers and people are putting in every year and we split 575 per year. Is there enough money in the grant program to give a grant for every unit every year?
I think just for clarity though, it's capped though, right?
No, but that's, I realize it's capped at 150. What I'm saying is we're trying to accelerate the housing thing.
Yep.
And if we want I guess the better way of putting this is, would all 575 units be funded with the amount of money that we're going to give in this program?
Through the chair, no, but the 575 units is across all 7 programs, right? So this program targets a certain sector, other programs would target other sectors, and all 7 of them combined is what we're targeting at 575. So.
Okay, follow up, Councillor.
Okay, and I know we're just dealing with the DC side of it right now, but that'll be 150,000 out of the, we're talking 3.8 million that we're getting given. And if there's gonna be other money given out along the way out of that program for grants to help establish more, that's the only grant we're giving out? So there's no other money to cover any other grant, any other units? That's just what
Oh, it's a good question.
sorry, I don't want to make it sound like I'm
No.
criticizing. I'm just trying to ask it, if we need this many units, is there a grant for every unit which would help promote people doing these?
Yep, Mr. DeRitter.
Yeah, through the chair. So we have this one grant, which is 150,000 a year, so total 600,000. And then we have the CIP, which is funded the same way that's funded today through taxation. So that'll be some grants as well. Through that program, there's or at least we're proposing a tax increment grant there. So there's a few other programs that they can fit under. And again, all 7 initiatives are covered with the 575, so not all of them are going to get grants, but not all of them need grants either.
Any more questions? Seeing none, there are second motions in front of you. All in favor of those 2 motions? Opposed, if any? Motion's carried. That's my alarm. Engineering and Public Works. First on the docket is the RFP award for 10 Glen Oak Road Structural Replacement Engineering Services. Motion that council award RFP number 2025-197, C10 Glen Oak Road Structural Replacement Engineering Services. The Spree Associates for $59,000 excluding HST. And further, the council approve additional engineering contingency in the amount of $10,000 excluding HST. Someone bring the motions. Deputy Mayor, second by Councillor Kennis. Are there any questions to Director Ortiz? Seeing none, all in favor of those motions? Motion's carried. Tender award, the Mount Bridges wastewater facility upgrades, EPW 2025-58. Motion that council approve award of a contract for tender 2025-168. Mount Bridges wastewater treatment facility upgrades construction to Burnham Excavating Limited in the amount of $9,656,000, $751.58, excluding HST, and council approve additional construction contingency in the amount of $965,675.16, excluding HST. Someone to bring those motions. Councillor Caddis, second by Councillor Palkman. Any questions to Mr. Ortiz? Councillor Wilsey.
Just on the funding part, we asked as a council about a month ago if there were any grants or anything that could apply to this. And the answer we got back was that we weren't sure if the half funding would apply because we were not increasing capacity and that there weren't any other grants. And now when I look at this on page 2 of the report, it looks like this project is fully funded through a municipal fund, 1 loan, and then 2 grants, including close to 95% of the half funding. So I just want clarity from staff that we can use the half funding for a project that does not increase the rated capacity of a site, and just find out if we actually are approved for this fund grant for the $998,000. And just quickly, it doesn't have to be a full report, but just when we applied and when we were approved for that grant, because when we asked a month ago, there was no grants available. So just clarity on those 2 things.
Director Dakin or Mr. Ortiz, one of the 2.
Thank you, Chair. I'll start on this one regarding the grant. So we did previously advise council through a report earlier this year, much earlier, I want to say maybe January, on the successful application to the grant. And that is confirmed, so we do have, it's about $1 million of a grant and 6.6 million in a loan, and yeah, that they're both confirmed. In regards to the half funding, I'll pass it over to the treasurer.
So the half, through the chair to Councillor Wilsey, so the half funding is eligible to be used for this project. So we've checked with the province on that, and we can use, so this will be the line share, as you've already pointed out, that $3 million will be used for this.
Any further questions? Councillor Derbyshire.
I guess what I would just like to know through this whole process here, we've heard a whole bunch of things. What I would really like to understand is, when it comes to our legal footing with this place, where we're at, how we're at, is this, are we good to go legally? I guess is what I would like to know. Do we have any questions as to whether we should be here, shouldn't be here? Is there anything that council should know before they make a $10 million decision about a place? Like we heard last time that, you know, really and truly we should do an EA to find out whether this is the right spot to be. Now, I think we're doing this as what we're calling a fix, but essentially we're putting up a new plant. So if you were to put up a new plant, you would have to do an EA before you did a new plant. We're kind of skirting around this in the way that we're going to keep a bit of it, but we're switching to open aeration. So,
okay, let's ask a question.
Yeah, thank you. Through the chair, I heard a few things there. So I'll start with the legal issue, and the plant does exist, obviously. We have legal standing to be there, and as far as I know, there is nothing stopping us from going forward with the current construction that's being tabled today. The project today is generally supported by the MECP, the regulator. We need to bring the plant into compliance, and this is the best approach that we have in front of us to do so. So there's no issue in terms of from a legal standpoint. I would probably suggest that the risk of not proceeding would open up a door for other issues with the MECP.
Any other questions? Councillor Derbyshire.
sorry, I would just like to say that the letter that we received from the MECP, is it Steve? He's kind of the head up there. I had it pulled up, but it's not there. It did say that the MECP was in agreement with any interim solution that we were doing. But if we were building a new plant, that we would need an EA. So, like I say,
Yeah.
we can,
Councillor Derbyshire, I'm just gonna ask you, he's starting to wander in an area where you may have a conflict.
no, I wouldn't. And I think I
I'm just
control,
asking.
no, but I don't think you have the right to ask. I think I control what my conflict
Just asking
is.
you, just trying to protect you there.
But that's not,
Okay, yep.
that's not really protection. What you've done is call me out in front of everybody. Whereas we're not allowed to do that. You're not allowed to call out my conflict.
Well, Councillor Derbyshire, you had already declared a conflict previously, so I'm just.
I just want you to know, whether I declare it or not, it's at my discretion whether I have a conflict. You've now probably compromised what's gone on here.
No?
Definitely changes the tune.
Any other comments or questions?
Our,
Go ahead, yep.
I can't even. Go ahead.
All in favor of the approved motions? Opposed of any? Motion carries.
Sorry. I was gonna ask for that to be recorded, but it's okay.
Next is RFP award, the Mountain Bridges wastewater facility upgrade site, inspection and construction administration services. Motions are, council approve award of RFP 2025-195, the Mount Bridges wastewater treatment facility upgrade site, inspection and construction administration services to RV Anderson Associates in the amount of $1,343,674, excluding HST. And that council approve additional engineering contingency in the amount of $134,367.40, excluding HST. Someone bring those motions. Councillor Kennis, second by Councillor Brennan. Any questions? Councillor Derbyshire.
So we are willing to take one entry again. We don't know why they didn't meet the scoring. There was no scoring breakdown, but essentially we have one person that has applied for this again. So we're comfortable taking one person, and I will just point out, this is the same people that designed it are now going to be the project manager over building it. So if there's any design flaws or this or that, are they going to be open to calling them and making the changes? Or will they just proceed forward because they are the people that designed it? That would be my question to council, more than anyone else. It's our decision. We're defending, this is our decision. We make the money. And I realize, they wrote the report, but you have one person and it's the person that did the design.
Any comments from members of council? Councillor Brennan.
I guess we get the answer to that question when we vote on the motion.
Councillor Kennis.
Pretty much the same thing. I'm comfortable with the decisions I'm making tonight.
Okay. All in favor of the seconded motions? Opposed, if any? Motion's carried. The Cooks Road status update. The motion is that council receive the report EPW 2025-60, the Cooks Road status update for information. Someone to bring the motion. Deputy Mayor, second by Councillor Brennan. Any questions on the report? Councillor Derbyshire.
So here we have one of these traffic committee that I don't think we saw it as an open. I believe it was part of the consent agenda and we approved it, and then my phone began to ring with neighbors concerned that we were closing down their road. So I guess that was when I asked the question earlier, when we approve these things, like, at what point should this have come to council for whatever the decision was going to be made? As opposed to, the guy phoned 3 or 4 times trying to get an answer as to whether his road's getting closed.
I'm going to turn to Director Ortiz. There's been some movement on the closing of roads, so if you want to just jump in and tell what your authority is regarding the closure of roads, and that may answer the question as to how it should come to council in the future.
Yeah, thank you, and through the chair. So in terms of that report, there was a recommendation in that we brought it to under a consent agenda item. The road itself, upon further investigation, we realized that it didn't meet it didn't require to be closed based on safety, based on the safety that we inspected it. So we made the decision, the road authority made the decision, effectively our group, Engineering and Public Works, made the decision not to proceed with closing the road on further inspection. If we were to do so in the future, we would be closing a road, advising either council through a report, or it would be done under an emergency basis if that situation ever arose.
So I agree with you, Councillor Shire. It should have probably been handled different, to answer your question. Go ahead.
What I'd like to do is I'd like to make a motion that the traffic committee bring any recommendations to council.
I think first, can we vote on the motion in front of us? That motion was seconded. The one, if you want to bring a motion after, feel free. But we do have a second motion in front of us to receive the report.
For information?
Yeah, we're just receiving it for
Let's
information.
get that one done then.
All in favor of receiving the report for information? Councillor Derbyshire, if you got a different motion, go ahead. The floor is yours.
I would just like to make a motion where the traffic committee makes a decision that affects, I guess, I want to say the community in general, that we at least have it put forward for discussion as opposed to in a consent agenda where, and I'm not trying to, I don't know how to make it more clear. I don't want to see, obviously, there's certain things we need to see and don't need to see, but, you know.
Yep. CAO was gonna speak to it first, Deputy Mayor. Through you, Mr. Mayor, just for council's information, in light of this example that came forward, we've met as senior management. We have made clear that if there's any recommendations in any committee report or in any document, that it shouldn't be on the consent agenda, that it should be a staff report to council with the recommendation highlighted, and then council can debate the issue and make a decision on the recommendation. So that's just a clarification on what will go on the consent agenda. Does that suffice for you, Councilor Deputy Mayor?
Yes. I had a lot of conversation both with the CAO and the director about the traffic committee. I don't need to repeat it here, but I will point out that at that meeting, I made a motion, seconded by Councillor Derbyshire, that not only do we receive it, and further, council approve the recommendation made by the traffic committee. So it was dealt with separately. So the motion was that council receive the report for information, and further that council approve the recommendations by traffic committee. And in that report, sorry, I'm just jumping around, I'll pull it up for you. In the report, on page 2 of 2, it had the traffic committee items. They dealt with an item in Mount Bridges. They dealt with an item for the railway crossings in Strathroy, and then road closure, Cooks Road between Reitman Drive and Riley Drive. The traffic committee recommends to install RB-92 road closed signs on Cooks Road from Reitman Drive to Riley Drive. The slope is showing signs of erosion and continues to get closer to the road each year. Closing the road will protect the municipality, and the road was to wash, if the road was to wash away. Traffic committee recommends to assess the slope condition on Cooks Road from Riley Drive to Crothers Road. So that's what the traffic committee put in there, and our recommendation was to receive and follow the recommendations.
I will apologize for that if it was put forward. I guess what I would more like to see then, as if I'm making a motion, I would like to see a report as to why we're closing the road. Like, I think when you come to something like that, a road closure, this should be more like what we're seeing here, as opposed to, and I do apologize that, you know, we did, obviously, I did approve the report from the thing.
Does the CAO's assurance that it'll come back to you, does that suffice, Councillor, rather than the motion he's assured us it'll come back to us? Excuse me, any report, okay, thank you. Next up is Human Resources, sorry, I missed that, Councillor Brandon. I do apologize.
I just want to be reassured that if there had been an immediate risk to road safety, that would not have to come back to council for ratification, but there'd be some emergency procedures where roads could be closed down on executive authority.
Director Ortiz, I believe he has that authority.
Yeah, through the chair, thank you. Yes, as the road authority, I do have the authority, and we would of course act immediately if in the event of an emergency or immediate road safety concern.
Thank you. Next is the 2026 seasonal recruiting. The motion is that council approve option 2. Recruitment and hiring of all listed 2026 seasonal positions, the equivalent of the 2023, 2024, and 2025 seasonal hiring, and direct the Human Resources Director to commence the recruitment immediately. Motion, Councillor Pelkman. Second by Councillor Hippel. Are there any questions to the Director? Okay, seeing none, all in favor of the motion? Motion carries. Director Lalonde, you're up with the MOU with Middlesex County regarding transfer and ownership of transit services. The motions are, council approve the memorandum of understanding between the municipality of Strathroy-Caradoc and the County of Middlesex to transfer ownership and administration of the transit service effective January 2nd, 2026. And further, the council approve the transfer of any residual funds of CT grant funds held by the municipality following final payment from Province of Ontario. Motion by Deputy Mayor, second by Councillor Kennis. Any questions to the director? Councillor Kennis.
So I guess a question to the director or maybe to our county reps. So does this ensure a long life for this program moving forward?
Do you want to take that one?
Sure, it was going to be part of my county council report, but yes. So I'll just give you a brief update on this one then. I'm going to jump over to transit. So there was the transit being ran throughout the region, which covered from Lambton through Strathroy-Caradoc, into London, over to St. Thomas, and all the way into Oxford County. And then there was what we were doing more locally with Strathroy Connect, I believe we called it. Yes, thank you. So merging that into the bigger county project means that it now receives the OTF grant funding. And the county has reached out to the other partners involved in this bigger project. And St. Thomas, Sarnia, St. Thomas has signed on to the agreement. I believe London has, the county has. Woodstock and Ingersoll out of Oxford County have both declined to sign on to their portion. The county has taken on that it will be fully funded through everybody that signed on and will pay their portion, and the county will end up paying those portions of those two municipalities that did not. And the reason we undertook that was that the province sees this as a regional transportation hub. And out of all the money in the OTIF grant, and I can't remember the exact number, but about 3/4 of that money comes to this project. And the province expects somebody to facilitate it and not pull it apart. So that's why the county has stepped up as the big funder of it. I anticipate, I see somebody coming up with funding to cover the shortfall other than the county over the next 4 to 5 years. But in the interim, the county will fund it and ensure that this regional transportation hub is here, because it serves right from Sarnia and up through Lambton County and through our municipality, and is going to serve the new industrial park in St. Thomas and London and the schools, and of course a lot of those people are living and working in Oxford County too. So there's an arm of it that stretches up into Lucan, Godolph, and elsewhere, but it's a whole regional hub, and the county has undertaken that. The rest of it I'll get to during my thing.
Any other questions? Councillor Wilsey.
I have a few questions just on how this works with the funding that we had left based on from our last report till now, more locally within Strathroy-Caradoc and how it's going to affect us. Last time we heard about this, and I apologize if there's been another report, I remember back in the spring that we had been told that the funding was going to expire around August, September, and we found some status it could go a little bit longer. I just wanted to see if we have enough funding to run it through the end of the year. When I read the memorandum of understanding, it says that the county will be responsible for future contracts, but not take over our contracts. So I want to make sure that our contract is done at the end of the year when it transfers over. And with our remaining funds being over, if there is an approximate number of how much will be given to the county for them to continue it. If we know those three answers. Two of them are kind of the same.
Yeah.
Okay, well, this will be a tag team between the Director of Finance and myself. We do have adequate funding to take us to the end of December. Since April 1st of this year, we've been on a month-to-month contract with the service provider. They're very aware of the situation and have been working with us and the County of Middlesex. So we will not be responsible beyond the end of December. The county will be working with them until they issue an RFP for their overall service according to the OTIF transfer agreement that will be put in place upon the signing of this MOU. With regards to the total residual amounts that will be transferred to the province, or transferred to the county once we receive our final payments from the province, yeah, I think it's about $220,000. We'll have to wait until we get the actual invoice from Voyago for December.
Yeah. Follow up, Councillor.
And just as a follow-up, that money all came from grants, so there was no tax money towards that?
That is correct. The entire program has been fully funded up until this point by the Province of Ontario CT Fund.
Thank you.
Any other questions? Councillor Derbyshire.
And I guess it's probably not something that can be answered here, but when they talk about the possible shortfall that the county's going to have, is that going to then be kicked amongst the groups that are involved? Or, so because we're kind of signing into this program, if it's say short 400,000 or 800,000, I don't know what it might be short, are they then gonna come back around and ask for the participating members to kick in and make the program whole? Like, I guess that's kind of, you know, we've always lived on grants and stuff, but are we now going to have to, once they're taking over and say that OTF or whatever money doesn't cover the whole thing, who then picks up the tab? I know they say the county, but the county's sponsored by us.
Deputy Mayor.
So, the long report found at on the county website from the 25th of November meeting would give you all of the numbers of everybody's participation, but Middlesex County in 2026 is projected to put in $56,000 towards. The pot in 2027, we will jump to 196,000 in 28, 268,000, rough numbers. It goes right down to the pennies and cents, but I didn't write all of that down. 2029, 368,000. So the county is picking that tab up. Now, yes, the county is funded through levies, taxation, given to all 8 participating municipalities in the county. Of course, I just said St. Thomas, London, Lambton County are all paying their share, and it's already been projected out till 2029, so they've signed on. 2 municipalities have not. That's why the cost for the county is going up. It is my hope that as the Premier is listening to us tonight, because he's so intent on what's going on in Strathroy-Caradoc, he will open up additional funding and realize that we are taking on a larger regional responsibility. But it's so important to the region that the county felt it is the right thing to do. Besides the fact, if somebody doesn't step up and do these things, or if one doesn't step up and do it, somebody else will, and then they will be the next that'll get the next project and the next. Clearly, the province is looking for regionalized, certainly infrastructure, regionalized transportation, and the county wants to spearhead that, and I think that's like incredible for this area and for the county, because we are a huge economic driver of southwest or southern Ontario, and the county council sees that. So anyways, that's what's going on. No, it won't drop back down to Strathroy-Caradoc. It's being picked up at the county level, and I believe a lot of that was being paid through reserves. I could be mistaken on that.
Councillor Kennis, and we'll bring it to a vote.
Yeah, and I make the assumption that the whole point of doing this is to hopefully increase ridership so that more people pay in user fees, right? And if that happens, then theoretically the cost to the funders should go down as well.
I'll just follow up with that. There is a single liaison person at the county that follows this program. So that person is responsible for the program, as opposed to it just getting touched on periodically. It's a full-time job for somebody to follow that program.
You have second motions in front of you. All in favor of those motions? Opposed, if any? Motion's carried. We'll continue with you, Deputy Mayor, County Council highlights.
Thank you. I know we're late here, but there are some stuff going on, and I know Council is interested. So we had a really interesting delegation brought in by, or about the county archives. It's been touched on a number of times prior to my arrival at County Council. We've had 2 delegations on this previously. This is the 3rd time. This time they came with an ask, which was when I was talking to them before. It's like you have to make an ask. Well, they did it through Councillor McMillan brought the motion, and that was for us to do a feasibility study. So County Council has put money towards doing a feasibility study to look around the county, all of the municipalities, what type of stuff is out there, how is it being stored, what are we looking for storage, money, time, who else, university, schools, that a broad scope feasibility study as to what and how are we going to look after our history in the future. So that'll be a really interesting report that comes in. There was an OLT appeal filed by the county from our Committee of Adjustment, and that was on the Gubbels consent application. We had approved it. It was appealed by the county, not out of spite, but the county is charged with ensuring that all of our consent applications, and a consent application creates a new parcel of land. That's what we do. We create a new parcel of land. So we take 200 acres and split it into two 100-acre parcels of land. That's what we do at a consent. The county is the oversight on that. They are responsible to ensure that we follow at the highest level the provincial planning statement, the county official plan, the Strathroy official plan. The Committee of Adjustment made a decision based upon best practices for our municipality and how that all looked, but it didn't fit those three criteria. The county is mandated and obligated to file an appeal. They did it. OLT upheld the appeal. The governance building, we spoke about that. That'll be the new headquarters for the county. It's going to be out at the end of Adelaide Road at Highway 401. Basically, if you were standing at one of my favorite stores a few years ago, which was Rocky Harley Davidson, looking across into the city of London, you'd be staring at it. So it's coming up out of the ground, hoping to get it closed in before my snow flies. And we've had $55,000 worth of savings so far, which is great. They've done that through some change orders and some areas they could find changes to. Speed limit, we did authorize a speed limit change, and that is essentially along Glendon Drive, really not in our area, but from Kamoka, where it drops down to 50 kilometers an hour, all the way into the city, all the way across the river where it becomes the city, will stay at 50. Right now it goes 50 to 70 and back down to 50 at Kilworth and back up to 70 and into London where it's actually 80 and then it turns back into 50. So we'll see if London follows our suit. Getting extremely busy out there. I just talked about OTIF funding. For the paramedic service, which is overseen on a governance basis by the county just purchased the Trossachs building. So this is a building in East London, near Highbury, I believe. It's in a subdivision, like probably a subdivision from the 70s or 80s. Trossachs is the name of the street. So it's one of these ambulance halls that like purpose built to fit into a subdivision. This is the second building that we've bought in recent years. And we do it so that, first of all, ownership of land is always a great investment, but now MLPS becomes our tenant and pays the county as opposed to paying somebody else the lease. So it's a great long-term investment strategy for the county and then for us. We did do a public there was a public open house on signs. So we talked just recently about signs coming in and out of our municipalities, and some of them are municipal and other ones are county. So those county signs and what they're going to look like and where they're going to be and how they're going to get used is up for, right now we're doing a public open house. I think it's virtually done, but what those signs are going to be used or look like and how they're going to be used. So as that starts to develop, I'll bring more information back to you. And Adelaide Metcalf made an application under our loan program, last looked at in 2024, but they've asked to have the program amended to be able to use money, and this is county money that we loan out, I think it's at zero rate. Yes, at 0% interest, we loan out to our municipalities here. And they want to be able to use it for site-ready industrial land. So we've talked about this, and that would primarily be in the vicinity of our municipality. So that was kind of the last interesting thing I wanted to bring to light. Thank you.
Thank you. You forgot the last interesting thing. I'm going to thank you for putting your name forward as county warden.
Thank you, and I should
Takes courage to
congratulate Mayor Sue Clark, who was elected warden. I know you were going to do that, but since she and I both were candidates for it, as was Alan Mayhew, congratulations to Mayor Sue Clark. She will be an excellent warden.
But thank you for putting your name forward. Takes courage. Next announcement, inquiries by members. We'll start with Councillor Hippel.
Thank you. A couple of things. I just wanted to make sure everybody knows that the transfer stations are on their winter hours. So if you have any questions about that, we have that posted pretty much on every social media platform, and it's papered everywhere. So yes, it's there. So make sure that you remember that we are on winter hours. I wanted to thank everyone that participated and put together the Santa Claus Parade. I was in it, but I also heard from many people that they liked the new route, and wow, was it ever packed with lots of children and families and people of all ages. But it was probably the biggest one that we've had, as many floats as we did. They haven't had something like that in years. So kudos to everyone that wanted to participate and get out there and have some good fun. But the big thing I wanted to say was this morning, we had a really exciting morning, kind of a grand opening, our official opening, sorry, of our new Strathroy-Caradoc Fire Department in Strathroy. And long time coming. It's something that as our municipality grows, and it's been growing, but as we get bigger, it's essential that we have something that is going to keep all of our residents safe and all of our firefighters safe. So everyone in our emergency services are important because we rely on them without even thinking twice. We can sit here and do all the things that we do, but we know that if anything were to happen, they're there. So this has been a really great thing, and again, long time coming. So for the next 50 years, I know that myself, my children, my grandchildren, and all of the businesses and industrial areas, and we're going to be safe. It's a really great thing. So anyways, that was wonderful to be a part of that. That's it for me.
Councillor Kennis.
A couple things as well. I just want to thank everyone who was involved in the night market on Friday evening. I know a lot of folks came together, storekeepers, the BIA, the Lions and the tree lighting, some town staff involved, some quick changes made to bring part of the market inside to avoid the cold. And so I guess all I'm saying is thanks for all the people who worked cooperatively to make it a good event. There were a lot of people out on Friday evening, and I encourage people when they're in the downtown to check out the numerous windows that have been decorated as part of a decorating contest. Some pretty neat windows out there with a lot of work, effort put into by a lot of storekeepers. The second thing I want to mention, just for the public to keep abreast of, is the changes to the whole conservation authorities legislation in the province. The provincial government passed a bill last week really consolidating the 36 conservation authorities into, I believe it's 7 conservation authorities. And I don't think we quite understand what's all going to happen, but everything's being scrunched into larger organizations. So for example, the groups that we're a part of, the St. Clair Conservation, the Lower Thames and the Upper Thames, are all being put into what's called the Lake Erie group, which will include the Grand River, 7 conservation authorities that all run, that all the water drains into Lake Erie, or in our case, Lake St. Clair, but that goes into Lake Erie as well. At this point, we have representation on the Lower Thames Board. John and I sit on the St. Clair Board, but that's all gonna change, and there'll be one board to cover these 7 conservation authorities. So I think we as a municipality will have far less influence over what happens in the things that conservation authorities do. Certainly could mean, a pretty good chance we have the St. Clair headquarters here in Strathroy. It could be very well that we have headquarters of nothing here in Strathroy moving forward when it comes to conservation. I know there are people with a great interest in this. I believe there's the opportunity to comment to the province until December 22nd. I'm not sure if that will influence things greatly or change the way the province is going to look at this, but it's certainly going to change how this all operates and what it means for us and for the people that live in our municipality remains to be seen, but it's a big change that we'll need to deal with.
Thank you, Councillor Wilsey.
I wanted to carry on a theme of the last few comments I've had and just talk a little bit about recycling and some of the changes and things that are coming up. If you're a business owner anywhere really in Ontario, but specifically in Strathroy-Caradoc or any of the neighboring municipalities, you might have had your recycling bin changed out to a red lid. If it's changed out to a red lid, that means that what you can put in the recycling bin will not change, but your collection time will be changing, and this mostly affects businesses. There's no houses who got changed to a red lid, it's all businesses. Everyone who's got a blue lid, your collection will be staying the same, but what you can put in as of January 1st, not before, because we can't hold it and it will just go to trash. After January 1st, you'll be able to put a whole lot more stuff in there. There is a wide range of food containers, and many things that we haven't been able to recycle for years that we wanted to recycle are all going to be acceptable come January 1st. So New Year's, you can throw a whole bunch more stuff in your blue bin. There are some documents available on the Blue Water Recycling, and I'm sure municipalities are going to post it as well. But your collection will be staying the same. You still got your blue lid, but if you've got a red lid in your business, what you can put in will be staying the same, but your collection schedule will change. So there are a few changes coming up for that. Any questions, you can reach out to the town staff and we can help you go through that.
Thanks, Greg. Councillor Brennan.
Thank you, Your Worship. There had been a question at Council about the level of detail provided in Council minutes from Police Service Board meetings. I did ask the question at a Police Service Board meeting to our provincial liaison, Ron LeClaire, and he took a look at what we've been reporting, and he said that what we're doing here at Strathroy-Caradoc Council in terms of our police board minutes it fits with what he sees happening in best practices at other municipalities, and that he had no concern with what we were reporting. So I think that will continue in the same fashion as it has in the past. But that was a question that we had answered. We had a lot of wind lately, and unfortunately a great big tree crashed down on a memorial bench in the upper loop in the north end of Strathroy. I've had a couple of phone calls. A good friend of mine, Rick Steffler, we had dedicated the bench to it, but a great big tree came down on top of it. So I will be talking to Greg Wilcox at the Conservation Authority to get some people out there with chainsaws and to fix it up. But I've had a lot of phone calls already, so just putting it out there, we are on it and it will be fixed. It was also a reflection of how many people use the trail system, how quickly I got multiple phone calls. And also today, the evidence of long-term planning, the satisfaction of attending an event today where we had a really magnificent fire station open, and it was very satisfying on a personal level to see a project come to fruition that we've planned and talked about for many years. And I think it's a real testament to this council and the previous council that we got that thing done. It's never a convenient time to have to put $8 or $9 million into a project, but I'm glad we did it. It's done now. It'll benefit for another 50 years. And this council is going to have, in our budget process coming up, about a $9 million choice as well in terms of renovating our fire station. And I would just say that rather than kick the can down the road, we have to take action on these things if we want to have the emergency infrastructure that this growing community requires. So those are my 3 items, my little pitch for the budget for that last one. Thank you.
I think you meant to say police station.
Did I say police? Did I say well, the police station renovations? I said fire station again. Sorry about that. The police station, and that's coming up. We're going to be getting news on that at the December 16th police board meeting, and it'll probably come to council sometime in January with the budget process. Thank you.
Councillor Peltman.
Yes, thank you. I did want to touch on the night market and the success that was, and thank the staff and the volunteers involved for the flexibility to make sure that the event still went off despite the weather. The weather, while it wasn't horrible, it wasn't great. It was just very windy, which made it for a challenging situation. And in the end, I think that the compromise ended up working for pretty much everyone involved. And you know, for the volunteer people, when I showed up downtown, the dancers were out on Frank Street, and there was probably 300 to 400 people watching that, which was great. It was a nice little crowd. So definitely kudos to the staff and the volunteers for pulling that off. In terms of today and the opening of the fire hall, I did want to mention Director Lilliborn's input into that building. He got thrown the sort of project of that building when it really has nothing to do with recreation. So I just wanted to thank him for stepping up to the plate on that and doing it in the absence of somebody had to do it. So thank you to that. And also to our economic development staff, who I believe had a large amount of input into today's festivities. So it's nice to see everybody working together as a team. It was great to see some of the retired firefighters coming out, one of whom was there for the opening of the other fire hall that we tore down, and to see just talking to some of the firefighters at the Biz After Biz, the thankfulness that they actually had input on the design, so that it's a useful fire hall, not just one that looks pretty. This is a great project, and happy to see it nearing completion. Still looking for a few things to happen there, but congratulations, everyone.
Councillor Derbyshire.
Nothing.
Councillor Palmer.
I believe, and I'm hoping staff can confirm, that overnight parking ban, street parking ban starts today. That's correct, right? So reminder to everybody, you can't leave your car on the road overnight as of tonight until the middle of March. March 31st. Yeah, so as the snow is flying now, just want to remind everybody that.
Deputy Mayor.
Thank you. I just want to thank Councillor Brennan for getting that information for me about the police services and the report, so I appreciate that. This morning, we were over at the fire station, and I was really pleased to see, Chief, for you, they produced these challenge coins. So I know the history about this, and I know the Chief spoke about it. Any veteran out there will know what this is. Certainly when I did some training up on one of the military bases, they certainly know what these are. So my challenge is to everybody that has one. I think Sandy and Frank, John probably grabbed one, Steve, Donna, the CAO and Colin, you all grabbed one. You have your coin, because when you're challenged, there's repercussions for not having it. I'll let you know what that is after the meeting.
Thank you. I'm actually Director Lilborn, you don't know I'm going to do this. I'm going to yield my time to you, because your department was nominated for an award, and I can't remember exactly what it is, so that's why I'm yielding to you. If you could, or Director Lalonde, because it's.
I was going to say I'm going to hand it over to
somebody will get. I just can't remember the name of the award. I'd like the public to know.
And congratulations to Community Services for becoming a finalist in the Economic Developers Council of Ontario's Awards of Excellence for the Canvas and Culture event. It's a special event category, which essentially means that it's one of the best events that's taken place and been submitted for recognition in the province of Ontario. So it's quite an accomplishment to be a finalist, and I think the event has been a great demonstration of cooperation between community organizations. So congratulations.
Thank you for that, and thank you for jumping in. And I move on to the consideration of bylaws. There are two motions. Bylaw number 105-25, bylaw number 106-25, and bylaw number 107-25 received third and final reading. And further, the bylaw 112-25, bylaw number 131-25, bylaw number 132-25, bylaw number 133-25, bylaw number 134-25, and bylaw number 135-25 received first, second, third, and final reading. Someone to bring those to Deputy Mayor, second by Councillor Pelton. All in favor? That motion carried. And with that, we will adjourn at 8:47 p.m. Meeting is adjourned.